Hello, welcome to Ask China. I'm Wang Mengmang in Beijing, and joining us today is the spokesperson from the Supreme People's Court of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Sun Jingong. It's so nice to have you on our program. Top Judge Zhou Qiang said in his annual work report yesterday that the court revised sentences in 1,317 cases last year, and that includes the correction of a number of wrongful sentences. What are the key steps to revise these sentences? And for people who are victims of these wrongful convictions, what does the Supreme People's Court do to compensate them, both financially and psychologically?
首先谢谢主持人，也谢谢网友啊，这么关注。
Thank you, and thank you the netizens for their interest in the work of the Supreme People's Court. Correcting wrongful cases is an important part of our work. In terms of the procedures, 1. We reopen the case to identify the potential cause of the wrongful judgment. 2. We verify the evidence. And 3. Either maintain or overturn the original judgment. After the victims of wrongful cases get compensated, the legal actors involved are to be blamed. This is our common procedure. The compensation is in accordance with the state compensation law. Staff from relevant court have also made apologies to both victims and the general public. I want to make it clear that we must clarify whether it is a potential case of wrongful judgment. The reopening is the result of efforts from all relevant parties. There are clear regulations for prevention and examination of wrongful cases. For example, it's required by the Supreme Court that local courts must report every potential wrongful case, and every such case reported would be fully emphasized. What's more, if a potential wrongful case is confirmed, sound follow-up measures have to be taken, including compensation.
How can the SPC strengthen the role of the Attorney Generals? For example, are there policies to help better protect the rights of suspects and defendants? Do they have the rights to remain silent at their lawyer's absence?
这个在我们国家的诉讼法里边，早就有非常明确的规定，比如说律师。
According to China's litigation law, lawyers are privileged. There is the most recent change in our policy. In February, the Supreme People's Court issued a guidance that death sentences should include lawyers' opinions. That is an important step to promote the quality of death sentence. And in the new round of judicial reform, more measures will be implemented to ensure that lawyers have a bigger say. We maintain the death sentence on the books and use it in a very cautious manner. It is only to be used when extremely necessary. I mentioned that lawyers' opinions must be accepted. This is also in accordance with our mindset towards the death sentence.
The establishment of the Circuit Court started earlier this year. They are organs designated by the Supreme People's Court to better allocate workloads and resources across the country. And their decisions are equal to those of the Supreme People's Court. And we also know that the First and Second Circuit Courts have both started taking cases. Can you tell us more about the progress and the future plan? And also, if these courts are really effective, will the SPC become a legal organization that only provides guidance to its various departments?
在今年的1月底的时候，最高法院的第一。
In January, the First Circuit Court opened in Guangdong in Shenzhen, and the Second Circuit Court opened in northeast China. They have accepted 83 cases and over 1,500 visits till the end of February. This is to delegate the power of the Supreme Court. We do this to bring the Supreme Court closer to the general public. These two circuit courts are regarded as the Supreme Court at one's door. The first case is the First Circuit Court received very positive response. Many new reform measures like main judge in charge have been effective and well received. The trial went well and both sides were satisfied. The law was sent out of Beijing and effectively implemented. The role of the Supreme Court should be played elsewhere besides Beijing to fully implement the Constitution. The media was inspired by our efforts. The Circuit Court is a pilot worth of copying and promoting. This enhances the Supreme Court's supervisory role. The Supreme Court must save more energy to supervise courts at lower levels. The First Circuit Court is in Shenzhen, a very short distance from Hong Kong. Its way of handling cases will affect Hong Kong and Macau and showcase China's judicial capability. So circuit courts reflect our expectation of promoting the Chinese legal system. The two circuit courts also shoulder a pioneering role of judicial reform. The experience from these two pilots will be promoted and spread nationwide.
最高法院，把这个最高法院呢开在了自己家门口。
We've seen quite a number of corruption cases within the prison system. For example, illegal granting of parole, sentence reductions, and sentences outside the prison. And they have become a key concern for lawmakers and political advisors as well as citizens. Now, how does the SPC plan to refine the rules to better supervise inmates?
但是按照我们的一个标准。
I would like to briefly introduce our law as regards to such cases. If the prisoner has displayed good behaviour while in jail, he can apply for a reduction of sentence or parole, which will be decided by the court. One scenario is that the verdict is already effective, but the individual has not been transferred to prison, and at this time the decision for serving sentence out of prison temporarily should be made by the court. If the individual is in prison, the decision for serving his sentence outside the prison is made by public security institutions, not the court. As a result, we should have stricter standards for sentence reduction, parole, and serving sentences outside prison. First, we would have stricter standards for sentence reduction, parole, and serving sentence outside prison to ensure that the wealthy and powerful will not get away. Second, we will have made these cases open to the public. Like some time ago, an official from the Chinese Football Association was sentenced, but we made the case open to the public scrutiny. In addition, last February, we set up an information website for cases concerning parole, sentence reduction, etc. All of the information is on the internet. We have blocked the two channels that I mentioned earlier. We have also introduced a third measure, which is timely examination inside the judicial system. Some of the netizens have observed that such a phenomenon, and we have improved our work in this. I know a lot of people have high expectations from our work. I believe through our hard work we can close such loopholes.
执行得更加严格。
Well, the three organs responsible for maintaining social order and justice are the Public Security Ministry, the Prosecutor's Office, and the Supreme People's Court. And they're supposed to be independent from each other. But we also know that the top jobs in these three departments are often exchanged. Now, does that mean vested interests in the three organs, which could potentially cover up corruption?
这个问题呢，应该说问得很好。
It's a good question. If they are transferred to another institution, they should be subject to public scrutiny and supervision. They are also subject to supervision from the People's Congress. We also adopted the mechanisms of People's Jury. We also welcome the supervision from the media, People's Congresses, the CPPCC and the society. Through such measures, we can reduce the possibility of forming interest groups inside these institutions.
它出现，您刚才担忧的那些个问题。
According to the latest explanation of the civil procedure law, electronic data such as emails, online chatting, and SMS, etc., can all be collected as evidence in a civil lawsuit. And of course, people are concerned about their privacy being infringed. How would you respond to that?
这电子信息的这些素材作为证据来使用啊。
Generally, we've considered that the internet has deeply influenced and changed our lives. The use of digital proof would become a new phenomenon. In this background, the use of digital proof would make trials easier, but in such an internet environment, ensuring the security of the private information of every citizen is an important task. I would like to share with you the following. If the law makes it clear that trials concerning national, commercial and private secrets are not to be tried openly, that is how private information is being protected. So from this perspective, netizens should not be worried about this. In addition, as to protecting private and online information, China is also actively pushing for new legislation. The People's Court would penalize those who steal and sell personal information. We will try our best to protect personal information.
判案的来讲，我们把它作为证据使用啊，是方便群众诉讼的。
Well, that's all we have for this edition of Ask China. We hope we've answered your questions, and please send us more questions to Ask China.